How to cope with postpartum anxiety or depression. Hey there, I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for Youth. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's article is not about teaching, it's about motherhood, because it's something that I struggled with, and I wanted to talk to people because I realized that there's just not a lot of information that's out there that we know about. What I mean by this is, when you think about postpartum anxiety or depression, what comes to mind? For me, it was the obvious, what I saw on TV or in movies, where a new mother is so overwhelmed by giving birth and all the hormonal changes that she wants to harm her child or kill her child. That's pretty depressing, isn't it? But that's all I knew about postpartum anxiety or depression. And I didn't know anything beyond that. So when it happened to me, I was in absolute shock because I didn't expect it. So I want to be able to talk to you about postpartum anxiety. Really what it is just a very quick overview. Is it's considered or called the baby blues. It's where depression occurs past the 6 weeks mark. So 6 weeks postpartum, if you're still feeling those baby blues, that's when you realize you have postpartum anxiety or depression. And it's not just birthing mothers that get this. It could be adoptive parents, surrogate parents, it could be fathers. So anyone who's related to or who's really loving this baby. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about my story, and it is a long one, so stick it out with me, I hope. And if you see me looking down, it's because I've got a lot to tell you or share with you that I just don't want to miss out on it. But I highly recommend that you actually check out the full episode, link in the description, because I've written out a detailed description of everything, because I probably will be skipping steps as I'm talking because I might forget some parts here. Okay, so I would highly recommend you read through the article. So I'm going to get started with my story. So I have anxiety. It's just something I've always struggled with, and I understand how to manage regular anxiety. So when I just want to give you some background story about the fact that when we had a lot going on in our life, and so we struggled with getting pregnant, my husband and myself. We struggled with it. We were just going through a lot during that time when we decided we were ready to have a baby. And honestly, I prayed for years to be able to have my baby before I got pregnant. And when I did find out that I was pregnant, I was over the moon with joy. I was so happy. It went really well until, of course, I got POPs, but I mean, that was manageable because I only got it toward the end of my pregnancy, so it was not too bad. Of course, it hurt. However, the experience, though, of my pregnancy was short-lived, the joy of it, because during my 3rd trimester, we ended up having a break-in, and it shook me to my very core, because I don't know if you read, like, I'm sure you understand that there's a feeling of violation that takes place, but when you when you have a baby inside of you, your hormones take over, and you feel everything to the core, to the max. And so I was terrified, because not only did we have the break-in, but I also experienced an injury related to it that I'm still, like, I wasn't able to get it fixed properly, because when you're pregnant, your balance is off. So I had to wait till after I'd given birth. By then, I was already struggling with, the aftermath of giving birth, because I was recovering, that I didn't even think about worrying about my injury. And so it's an ongoing thing with me right now. But between that and just the break-in, I was terrified all of the time. I did not want to be alone. I was scared to be alone. I was having nightmares, because if you're in your 3rd trimester, many people have vivid dreams, and I was having these dreams about somebody breaking into the house, and I was unable to take care of my baby. So I was terrified. Then I did give birth, and of course, I was crying all the time for no reason at all at first, and then I started crying because I was scared of not being able to take care of the baby. I was just so incredibly afraid. And then when we got home too, there was just so many changes that I wasn't expecting, and I don't do well with changes. So it really did, it just did overwhelm me quite a bit. So it's just during that time too, beyond just the changes that were taking place, I was also working on my master's degree. I was finishing it up. I only had 2 more courses left, but imagine trying to rock your baby in one arm and trying to type with the other, because you have to write your thesis or your paper. And so it was just so difficult to do all of that. And so I was not sleeping that well. I was scared all the time, and I was crying a lot. And so it was just a compounded everything. It just compounded everything for me, emotion wise. And my sister and my sister-in-law did try to help, but then COVID eventually hit, and so nobody could be around. We had to self-isolate. Doctor's appointments were all canceled, so no one knew that actually anything was wrong with me, because I did also hide it from my husband, because he had to really take on a lot of what I couldn't do with my son. And so I was trying to protect him. I didn't tell him, so he thought it was regular anxiety. And so I tried everything I could to help make it better and get rid of that regular anxiety. And typically, since I know how to manage anxiety, it should have gone away. But postpartum anxiety is very different from regular anxiety. Okay, so nothing I did worked. So that was really difficult. The one thing I did ask my husband though for was not to leave me alone with my son for very long, because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to take care of him. Around that time, I was having just emotions of wanting to pack my bags and go to my mom's house and leave the baby and my husband, because I thought they'd be better off without me. Of course, I was not being rational. I see that now, but I wasn't able to see that in that moment. So I'm glad he didn't listen to me, and people were able to help out, just being there to support us in a way. Now, I'm not a medical professional at all. I'm just a mom who experienced this. So my experience is going to be very different from what you have experienced or what you might experience. So I don't want you to compare what we're going through or what you have been through. What I want you to do instead is take whatever you can from what I'm going to tell you, and just see what helps you. And I really hope this helps, because we're going to go into the steps that I took to help get over some of my anxiety, my postpartum depression. Now, I didn't know anything was wrong with me for a long time. So the first step that I took was get assessed. So this means what I'd like you to do is call your local helpline. In your area, if you suspect that you might have postpartum anxiety or depression, because I struggled with it for 8 months before I did this. If you're struggling, there are many helplines that are free, depending on where you live. So really call and get the help that you need. It wasn't like, for me, I can picture it. It wasn't until 8 months later that I had enough, and I didn't know how to handle it. I can picture myself right now sitting on the edge of the couch, bawling in tears, because I didn't know what was wrong with me and how to manage this. I just put my son to bed. He was not going to go down for very long. I knew that, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared, I was angry, I was sad all of the time. So I called them crying at 10 p.m. and they helped calm me down. They went through an assessment with me, and we discovered that yes, I did have postpartum depression. And so if you suspect that you have it, don't listen to anybody else. Please make sure you make that phone call. They will tell you, they will help you with this, okay? The next thing is to join a group. So what they did then for me was they helped me join a group that worked best for my needs. Okay, so group counseling is not my cup of tea. I don't like talking to people and sharing all of my things, but it really helped me immensely, because I felt that I wasn't alone. I was able to see all these other mothers that were also going through what I was going through. We talked about what we were going through. We looked at how to help, how we were able to take care of ourselves, and we also looked at how we could support each other. Many of us are still friends beyond the group, because you leave once you're ready and once you feel like you're okay. And sometimes you're not sure. I wasn't sure if I was ready, but I felt like I was in a good place. And so when I left, we did end up making some friendships beyond the group. So it really does help. If you're interested but you're not sure, I urge you to put your name down, because there is, depending on where you live, there can be a waiting period. So make sure you put your name as soon as you can. Okay. Now the third step was engage in one-on-one. So here, if you catch it early on, you may not need this step at all. But because I waited till I was 8 months postpartum to get myself into group counseling, and it was already my time was already nearing the end, where I had to go back to work. I wanted to be able to enjoy the last little bit with my son, so that I could bond with him in a way that I couldn't for the first 8 months. Realistically, it took me almost 10 months to recover, so really the first 10 months. So what I did was I paired it up with one-on-one counseling. Now, really only do this if it's within your budget, and if you're you don't really need this if you catch this early on. But if you want to go through this, recover at a faster pace, then that's what I would do. One-on-one counseling is not for me either, but I do I've been through one-on-one counseling for a lot of things, because I've also experienced trauma in my past, and it has helped me immensely. So I really hope that if you're able to do it, you find one that's a good fit for you. If one doesn't fit, then go for another. There are lots of different types of counseling, like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and a lot of people swear by it, and I almost did do that one, but I decided at the last minute to change, and I went with somebody who really focused on the heart and emotion, because that's what I needed in that moment. So look for one that you need, and just know that when somebody says that this works best, it probably does work best for them, but what will work for you is going to be different from what works for them. So make sure you find one that works best for you. Do your research and just go with what works for you. Okay. So the fourth step is go out. Now, I didn't want to go out because I was tired a lot, but going out in nature was really helpful, because it allowed me to just to breathe a little bit better, because I was breathing really, first of all, fresh air, but also if you're carrying your baby in a carrier, or if you're pushing your baby in a stroller, it helps them calm down, and as they're calming down, it also helps you calm down as well, which really helps with postpartum depression, because you need to be able to have some sense of calm at some point. It's also, if you're able to, go out with friends as well, because it's helpful to be able to talk to other people, to be around other people, so they can support you if you need it. But also, if you're doing things with people that you love, things that you love with people that you love, it's really helpful, because it'll help you laugh, it'll help you just ease and calm down, and know that you're not on your own. And I know this because during COVID time, we had to self-isolate, so I wasn't able to see a lot of people. I'm grateful for my family and friends who were, my family was able to support me. My friends called to check in on me and give me advice, but it's not the same as actually being with somebody in person. So I encourage you to get out there and do things with people, okay? When you're ready, of course. Find a doctor is the fifth step. So make sure that you make an appointment with your family doctor, your OBGYN, or your midwife, and let them know how you're feeling. Be honest with them about how you're feeling, because it's going to help them know how to help you with in any other way that you might need it. They can provide you with any additional support based on what you tell them. Now, there's a lot more to postpartum depression than what I've outlined today, but I want you to be able to know that these are some of the steps that I've experienced. What you've experienced might be different. Make sure that you keep in constant contact with a medical professional, so that they're able to give you the help that you need. Okay? Be honest with yourself, be honest with other people, and be honest with your medical professional, because the worst thing to do is feel like you need to protect them, like I did, because no one's going to know what to do, and no one's going to know what you need. And if you allow it to escalate, it can get worse. So please take care of yourself as soon as you feel or sense that something is going on. Okay, so let's recap really quickly what we've talked about today. We've looked at the reasons why it's difficult to know if you have postpartum depression or anxiety. We've looked at my family's background in regards to postpartum anxiety or depression, and we've also looked at 4 different ways to cope with it. Number 1 is get assessed. Number 2 is join a group. Number 3 is one-on-one, engage in one-on-one. And number 4 is find a doctor. Thank you so much for joining me for this long conversation. I hope this has helped you. In the meantime, remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. Take care, my friends, and thank you so much for joining me today. Take care.